So this just happened. I decided to comment on NASA's Facebook page and I said, please give my $75 million per day back from lying Freemason satanic propaganda pushers. And look who commented. None other than Ryan, thank you for your comment. Please message me. So I did. I said, you don't have to build the beast system all on your own, sir. Let somebody else do it. Turn to Jesus before it's too late. Also, are you allowed to tell the people that your rockets are hitting the firmament and they're not exploding? Psalms 19:1 says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament, the hard pounded out solid dome, showeth his handiwork.
What in the GTA 5 is going on here? Splashdown, huh? Well, this looks real, I must say. Who filmed these perfect angles? Stanley Kubrick's Ghost? Then it's just bobbing about there, making no impact on the perfect-looking water. But some cute dolphins came to say hi, and that's all that matters. Nice editing touch, the masses love cutesy. Back to reality, though. And besides these spacesuits from Temu, zip-up leather boots, which are worn on the bottoms, by the way. What ground made those marks? And the obvious AI disaster that has half the world convinced it was real. If only I had some evidence that they just dropped something out of a plane and faked the rest. Oh wait, I do. See how it gets there and circles and waits for NASA to arrive, circles and waits. Oh look, here they come. Wow, it's not 1969 anymore, folks. The only question I have is why? What's the long game here?
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Hive Moderation AI, I have just uploaded the video of the Dragon capsule landing in the ocean because I'm convinced that it is AI generated. Hive Moderation detects AI generated video. So let's see what it comes up with. And 18 minutes later, here is our result. Overall, the video is likely to contain AI generated or deepfake content. Wow.
People actually believe this stuff. Oh my god.
Breaking news, sheeple. SpaceX have just completed a miraculous mission to save the astronauts that were lost in space for 9 months. I mean, it's totally believable, isn't it, that they can travel 17,500 miles an hour out of the Earth's atmosphere and perfectly just lock this little bullet onto the ISS whilst in the vacuum of space. I mean, after all, it's kind of crazy that they went up into space in June last year, yet they managed to take Christmas hats with them for when they were stranded in space. But honestly, nothing dodgy going on here, right? You know, they literally just took a big snowman up on the ISS with them and loads of Santa hats, because they didn't know they were going to be stranded for 9 months and all over the mainstream media to push the narrative that space is real. I mean, we all remember this guy here, don't we? Don Pettit, who literally embarrassed himself many times being interviewed about the spaceships and literally not knowing what he was talking about. This is the clip right here, go and check it out.
Enough with the games! Y'all, come on. They say that this is the astronauts returning from space. Yes, these astronauts have just returned from space, and wait till I show y'all the video of them apparently having a parachute coming from space after 17 hours and landing in the water. Oh my gosh.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth. Dragon Freedom has returned home with NASA astronauts Nick Hague, Sonny Williams, Butch Wilmore, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbachev.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this is so childish. Like, so childish. First of all, the lady's like, they're finally back on Earth. They were on Earth once they crossed back into Earth's atmosphere. Like, why are you saying that they're on Earth when they hit the water if they've been back on Earth, first of all? That really just pissed me off. Also, like, how dumb do you think we are? Like they must think that AI has gotten so good that people can't tell. But even if it wasn't AI, you mean to tell me that they just dropped this thing so delicately So Earth is 62 miles away from space, and you mean to tell me that they came straight down 62 miles, and then once they got to a decent speed, they just put the parachutes out so they can land so delicately in the water? At this point, y'all should be upset by how dumb they think we are, because this is asinine. Were they ever in space? No. And how did they get rescued? Y'all tell me, did the parachutes rescue them? Who rescued them? How did they get down? Because all I see is a parachute, 2 parachutes, and a rocket that they're probably sending. I'm dumbfounded by this. I'm not gonna lie.
I've seen better graphics on PS5.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
Is Venus just smaller and closer and in front of the moon right here? Or is the moon transparent and we're seeing through it to Venus? This photograph was taken last week. It is Venus through the moon. Through the moon. It reminds us of certain patterns on flags we've seen before. I figured everyone would be covering this, so I didn't bother. But I haven't seen anyone covering it yet. But either Venus is little bitty and in front of the moon, or the moon is just transparent and we're seeing Venus through the moon, which we should never be able to see Venus anyway. It's orbiting closer to the sun, supposedly, and anytime it's night, we're on the side facing away from the sun, right? In this model. So Venus is orbiting closer. It'll always be behind the ball of Earth. So that's at least 2 impossibilities in one photo. How many more impossibilities can you think about when it comes to the heliocentric model of Earth? Is it what we've been told? I want to know what you think.
NASA, or Not About Space Administration, is one of the largest con jobs in the history of the world. Archaeology has uncovered ancient hieroglyphics describing our plane of existence. They won't tell you that. This means there was a race of ancient people who understood what we are, and we are not a rock spinning around a star. Their drawings depict magnetism and the top and bottom forces that hold our plane together. The Freemasons knew this, and same with the esoteric religions, with the phrase, as above, so below. This means gravity is debunked, and we are actually being pulled by a magnetic field and not by density. The whole heliocentric model and calculations were actually a brilliant mathematical calculation theory that helped to describe our existence, but it was designed to steer the public away from the truth. Germany realized they could not defeat the bankers' magic, so they had to fight magic with magic using Deutsche Physik, Deutsche physics. They uncovered the truth that all science and mathematics was a decoy, and discovered the Khazar's quantum physics theory called Jewish physics. Werner Heisenberg was the leading quantum scientist who discovered the splitting of the atom. Werner von Braun discovered rocket science, all using esoteric magic or quantum physics. NASA is real and does real science. They have 2 components to their scheme, however. Compartmentalization. The higher the security clearance, the more you know about rituals, magic, and quantum physics. The lower clearance practices calculus and normal physics. They don't know. NASA claims they have satellites in orbit and do spacewalks. There are thousands of debunkers that show mice, flies, and other earthly animals and insects that seem to get captured on the set, live, while they're up in space. Huh? On Google Earth, you can see Mars as you zoom in on Iceland with what they say is a replica of the Mars rover, and the land looks eerily similar to Mars. There are so many other strange things that NASA has not been able to explain to us, like Where are the stars when you are in space? They seem to disappear by the time you leave our atmosphere. And how can an object in a vacuum move without another object moving it via density, as burned rocket fuel does not have anything to push against in a vacuum? My God, I'm not a rocket scientist, and yet I understand this. NASA explains this by adding oxygen to the fuel tank to create an atmosphere. If that were the case, they would need all of space to be the atmosphere and not just the area next to the rocket. NASA practices black magic rituals that are deeper than you could ever imagine. Their magic seemed to open up an entire world that should not exist on trigonometry, calculus, and geometry paper. Jack Parsons wasn't an expert in rocket science, yet founded JPL. However, he was a master wizard and studied under Aleister Crowley, the most wickedest man in the world. After his and L. Ron Hubbard's Babylon working ritual in the desert in 1946, they released the 4 watchers under the river Euphrates, whom made a trade with them. Earth's women wombs, yes, their wombs, for technology. In 1953, Eisenhower agreed and signed the paperwork. This happened before, in the Old Testament. Genesis 6, in your Bible, it talks about it. And the first book of Enoch as well. The Watchers used magic to impregnate earthly women with their offspring hybrid known as Nephilim. NASA and the military-industrial complex have been helping the interdimensional beings with their breeding program now for 71 years. Again, the same thing happened all before Noah's flood. NASA never was about space because space doesn't exist. NASA knows this, and their logo depicts who they worship. The original snake's tongue from Genesis who tricked Eve into eating the forbidden fruit. NASA's true motive isn't world dominance. It is trying to gather as much data on its God so it can basically defeat it. This is the fallen angels' conundrum, as man doesn't want a God. They want to be God. The people are not ready to hear this because it would trigger madness. So the men of this earth continue to play God by ignoring the angels and the Creator, by lying to you about them while they build a tower that reaches the heavens again so they can escape. NASA, not about space administration.
Are you still under the impression that our Earth's tilt is what causes the seasons on planet Earth? Because let's get this straight here. The sun's light rays are traveling in parallel lines 93 million miles away, all the way to Earth. And then suddenly, it just decides to decide where it wants to administer its heat. Not over the whole globe, just right there on the little equator right there. So is the Earth not tilted? Or is something else really fishy going on? And did you know that in January, the Earth is 91 million miles away from the Sun? In July, the Earth is 94 million miles away from the Sun. So on the northern hemisphere, that doesn't even make sense. But of course for the Australians, they're having a blast during their summertime in January. But the sun's rays cannot appear crepuscular during sunrise and sunset. You see this all the time in Hawaii, but simultaneously be this.
So if I was to ask you if we're on a flat earth or on a big round ball, what would you say? Well, before, I don't know, a couple years ago, I would say, I don't know, man, probably a big round ball. But I was watching TikTok one day and saw a video about flat earth and thought, maybe there's something to that. I started watching it, and the more I looked into this stuff, the more I believed. And wholeheartedly, I believe we're on a flat earth. I believe in the firmament. Did we land on the moon? No. I think the whole NASA stuff and all that stuff is a bunch of made up crap to get money is what I believe. I think it's all just a big old lie, in my opinion. You know, and I'll say this. The moment that I started believing into flat earth, it felt as though I became closer to God, and that's the truth. It's almost like I uncovered a secret or something that I was supposed to uncover. But I definitely believe, because the Bible says the four corners, and I know people can explain that any way they want to. My belief wholeheartedly, we're on flat earth. True story. So I made the video about flat earth, and I knew it was going to be split on how people think. I mean, that's common sense. You know, we're all different. We all think differently. What I'm surprised by is all the negativity that it brought. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I'm convinced that we're on a flat earth. Do I know it for a 100% fact? No, but I'm about 99% sure. No more than someone can tell me for 100% fact that we're on this big spinning ball. You see? But here yet, we want to degrade people and belittle them. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's something very small, you know. If you bring up politics or something like that, man, you know, we got all kind of stuff going on. It's strange to me. In this country, I remember when I was a little boy, respect was a thing. It's just not there anymore. Even in the penitentiary, for the most part, respect. People respect each other. You got your young ones who don't respect anything or anybody, but for the most part, there's more respect inside a prison wall than there is out here in society. What's happened to us, man? Can we not have a conversation and let it be civil? It has to turn into name calling and all these things. It just don't make a lot of sense to me, man. Because at the end of the day, most people that are on here calling somebody names behind that keyboard would never in a million years think about doing it to somebody's face. Just shows the sign of the times, doesn't it? True story.
The flat earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Heliocentric. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.